Hey guys. So, after going through those Desmos activities the last couple of weeks, you should have been introduced to quadratics that look three different ways. And so, we're going to compare these three different ways that the equations can look and what you can learn from each equation, or what info you can use to write each equation. So, this is vertex form. This is the one you looked at the week before. And we can get two pieces of information here, but really what we're getting is the location of the vertex. So a lot of us noticed when we did the activity, when we change this number right here, it's moving our equation left and right. And this number right here is moving our equation up and down. And in particular, if we track the vertex ends up being located at, so this number is going to be its x value, and this number is going to be its y value. Now, one important thing to point out here, because there's a minus in this formula, this number always has the opposite sign that it does here. So if it says x minus 3, the minus is part of the formula, but the 3 is a positive 3, and that's h. So this always has the opposite sign because of the minus in the formula. So that's something to look out for there. Not an issue with the k, because there's a plus, not a minus in the formula. So vertex form can tell us where the vertex is, which is why it's called vertex form. It can also tell us something else. We'll come back and talk about that a little bit later. Factored form. So if you can factor an equation, and you end up with two numbers like here and there, those are numbers, then those two numbers are your x-intercepts. And remember, they're the x values of the x-intercepts because x-intercepts always have a y value of 0. So again, the two x-intercepts are coming from these two numbers right here. And just like we talked about with the h value in the vertex, because there's a minus in the formula here, they're going to have the opposite signs of what it says. So if it says x minus 7, this is a negative 7 up here, but the actual x-intercept is at positive 7 because the minus stays in the formula and you only take the 7 part. But if it says like x plus 3, that's the same as an x minus a negative 3. So you've always got the opposite sign in the x-intercept that you see in the formula. So factored form helps you find the x-intercepts, also known as the roots or the zeros or the solutions. These have so many names because they turn out to be really important pieces of the quadratic equation. Standard form. This one should look familiar from stuff we did in the last topic, polynomials. So in standard form, you've got an a, a b, and a c. Those are just the coefficients of your terms. And in particular, here, we can see from the c value our y-intercept. So the y-intercept is always going to be at 0 and then whatever number c is. And because there's a plus in front of it, we don't need to change the sign. It's just a regular c. So that is the location of the y-intercept. You'll notice if you plug in 0 for x, this goes away, that becomes 0, that becomes 0, and all you're left with is c. So if I plug in 0 for x, my y value is just going to be c. So that's my y-intercept. So again, each one of these three forms tells me different important points on my parabola. But what about a? I see an a value in all of these different formulas, and in all of these different formulas, it does the exact same thing. If a is positive, then our parabola opens up. And if a is negative, our parabola opens down. So when you say opens up or opens down, that's the direction the arrows are pointing. So it's going to go up and up and up and up and up forever. It opens up. This one goes down, 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 down. It opens down. One thing I like to say, it's not an official math term, I like to call this a happy parabola. Smile, see? It's smiling. And I like to call this one a sad parabola. But again, those aren't official math terms. They're just things I like to say because I like to say fun things. So if A is positive, if there's a positive 4 here, that means we're going to have a parabola that opens up, or a happy parabola. And if A is negative, our parabola is going to open down. It's going to be sad. But, it's the way life goes. All right. So now would be a great time to pause this and see if you can answer the questions down here based off of the stuff that you took notes on at the top. So pause this, write down notes if you need to, and then try to answer these questions. And if you will try to answer the questions on your own, and then I come back and work through them, you can learn from that process. If you mess up, then you'll learn from your mistake. So please try and do that. Okay, so hopefully you've tried to answer these questions. This first one looks like it's in no, maybe, no, yep, factored form. Which means I should be able to look at it and see what the x-intercepts are. So what info can I see? Well, in factored form, I can see the x-intercepts. So what are the x-intercepts? So it comes from these two numbers right here. But you always have to take the opposite sign because of the minus in the formula. So when it says x minus 3, the 3 is the number that's right there. The minus is part of the formula. So my first x-intercept is going to be 3, 0. And then my other x-intercept is going to be not positive 4, but negative 4, 0. So I can see my x-intercepts from factored form, also known as my roots, my zeros, and my solutions. So 3 and negative 4 are my roots. Oh, there's one other thing I can see. I almost forgot. I've got the a value. What does this a value of 2 tell me? Well, is it a positive 2 or a negative 2? It's a positive 2. So I can also tell my parabola opens up. So it's a happy parabola. Let's look at the next one. This one looks like it's in vertex form. Therefore, I should be able to see the vertex. So vertex form. What info can I see? It's the vertex, which is a point. And the coordinates of the vertex come from these two numbers right here. H and K, they're called. And because H has a minus in front of it in the formula, we take the opposite sign. So if it says x minus 3, we use a positive 3 as our H. K has a plus in front of the formula. No need to change the sign. We just take the number as it is. There's a plus 4 right there. So we put a 4. Hey, that's the vertex. Sorry, I should probably label these things. These are my x-intercepts. This is my vertex. All right, labeling your answers. Good idea. And I can also tell that this parabola is either happy or sad. What is it? Negative 4. That is a sad parabola. Okay, last one. This is standard form. What info can I see from standard form? According to my notes, I should be able to see the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is going to come from this c value. The x value is always 0 for a y-intercept, but the y value comes from c. So my y-intercept should be a 0, 4. And again, I don't change the sign here because there's a plus in the formula. What else can I see? Well, always I should be able to tell whether I'm looking at a happy or a sad parabola, and that comes from the a value out here in front. That's a 6, but it's a positive 6. So I've got a happy parabola. Now, go try the assignments and ask questions if you have them, and I will get back to you with answers.